And it seems that concern is mounting about China's debt problems.
Yes, certainly. The thing, I guess, is that Soros is not alone, even though, as you say, he has been there before. He's a renowned China bear, and he has been waging this war of words against China's policymakers. And usually when he says something like this, like back in Davos, when he said he was going against all Asian FX because he says a hard landing in China is virtually unavoidable, we had that backlash coming through from Chinese state media saying that, you know, he's wrong for X, Y, and Z reasons. The data point that he's using for saying that this is very closely correlated to what happened to the US just before everything went so horribly wrong in the global financial crisis is new data. So new lending that's created in the Chinese economy in March. That number was pretty alarmingly high, $362 billion of new credit created last month, blowing out expectations. And it comes on the back of aggregate financing earlier this year hitting record highs again. So he's also warning that these credit will have capital outflows that we've seen, although that's lessened somewhat if you have a look at China's FX reserves. He says that the anti-corruption campaign will continue to make investors and Chinese holders of capital very, very nervous, and that these outflows will continue to be exacerbated, people tending to take their money out as they don't know where policy is going. He has warned of this 2008-style crisis, repeating before. He said essentially the same thing when it comes to Greece's debt. Yeah. So clearly we'll have to wait to see how it plays out. But Soros, again, the rhetoric when it comes to being bearish against China.
Again, he is a known China bear, as you said, but others are joining in this chorus.
Yeah, we have seen this increasingly loud camp that says, look beyond that headline GDP figure, which is likely to meet that 6.5% to 7% target because the government wants it to. Look at the debt, the structural issues, the debt burden, which went from 164% of GDP to almost 250% last year. Fitch, the latest to come on the back of Moody's and S&P cutting their outlook when it comes to Chinese debt last month. Fitch now come out and saying, look, given the twists and turns we've seen in policy, we're no longer certain about how committed policymakers are to structural reforms, to cutting overcapacity, to reducing leverage in the economy. It's very, very difficult for them to be able to achieve this headline growth while still managing to manage that as well. So we're also hearing from a number of economists that Bloomberg have surveyed that they actually see the PBOC now holding back on that rate cut until the last quarter of this year because they say that monetary policy has done its work. So potentially there's a little bit of hope there in terms of not too much more easing coming through, and they're trying to balance that the amount of leverage that's getting dangerously high and also keeping growth going at the same time.
Yeah.